Start by throwing one ball back and forth from hand to hand. You want to keep your hands at tray carrying height for the throw and the catch. You're aiming for a point above each hand that's just slightly higher than your head. Next, you're going to work on the two-ball exchange. It goes 1 and 2. 1 pause, 2. Remember, you're throwing with both hands to the imaginary point, just like you were doing with one ball. Now for the 3-ball exchange. It starts just like the 2-ball exchange, but now you throw in the third. 1, 2, 3, 4, just keep throwing underneath the ball that's in the air. For an over-the-top, you throw the ball over the top at the same time to the same spot as you did before, but it's over the top instead of underneath. Once you feel confident with one hand, try it with the other hand. When you throw the same ball back and forth each time, that's called juggler's tennis. Next, try solid over the tops on one side. That's often called a half shower. Once again, you'll want to get all these basic tricks with both hands. Once you have solid over the tops on both sides, try both hands at the same time. That's called a reverse cascade. It's the exact opposite of a cascade. For 2 in one hand, make the first row straight up, then start curving up and away from your head on each side. You can also try columns or elevator shafts like this. Inside circles aren't used very often, but they can be used for other variations. Don't forget to work on the other hand as well. By adding the third ball to the 2 in one hand columns, you'll get this 2 in one hand variation, or elevator shafts. You can keep the 2 in one hand in the same hand, or alternate which hand gets the middle ball. By pairing it with the outside, you get a very different looking trick, but it's the same thing. Now let's take the 2 in one and cross the outside 2. This can also be used as a trick called the kiss, where the outside balls hit each other in the middle. By hanging on to the outside ball, you can get this variation. Put it on top of the other ball and it turns into the yo-yo, or the opposite, the oi-oi. Here's a use for those inside 2 in one hand throws. Start with the 2 in one hand on the outside. The outside ball does an over-the-top throw. This can be used individually or as juggler's tennis. There's also other variations, such as the shower, the box, or you can even do body throws, which we'll be learning later, such as under the leg or around the back. When working on under the leg, start with a high throw from the opposite hand and then go for it. Start by working from the outside in. Later you can work on inside out, both right and left-handed. When working on around the back, throw the ball so that it comes over the opposite shoulder and lands in your hand in its normal catching position. Make sure you don't lean for the throw. When you feel confident on each side, try back crosses where you throw solid out of each hand. Make sure you stretch before working on the shoulder throw. You can throw it to the opposite side or to the same side over your shoulder. Once again, for all these basic tricks, work on both hands. Here's a reverse shoulder throw. Follow it with your eyes over your shoulder so you know where it's going. The first trick is called claws. You'll want to throw these kind of high and close to you so that you're not chasing the ball down towards the ground. You turn your hand over. Once again, you'll need this on both sides. Once you feel comfortable with both hands, try it solid, and then slowly lower your pattern so that it speeds up. Next, we'll work on the Statue of Liberty or the waterfall. You can do this with a cascade or an over-the-top throw coming from the lower hand. The key is consistent throws so your hand doesn't have to move to catch them too much. Now we'll learn the clock. This is 2 in one hand in your dominant hand while the other hand throws over the tops on every other beat. Substituting in. Swing your wrists and it'll make it look more like a clock. Now for the overhand shower. This is very similar to the clock, except you're substituting on every beat. Try to draw a straight line across your forehead. You can also do this by clawing the top ball. First we'll work on some 2 in one hand starts. This is similar to the 2 in 1 or elevator shaft trick that we did before. You can do this as a regular start, under the leg, around the back, or even over your shoulder. Now we'll work on the 3 in one hand start. It's all wrist. Claw the bottom 2 and come around for the third. Once you have this mastered, work on under the leg, around the back, or over the shoulder. Remember, it's not a wild random throw behind your back. You're still squaring them up and using all wrist. Now for some finishes. This is the one high hand over catch. It works around the back and under the leg as well. Make sure that your one high still goes to the other side. For a fancy finish, try a turn. Just like an ice skater, you want to tuck in after you push off for your turn. Spin on the ball of your foot. Start with your dominant hand and start throwing to the same imaginary point that you were throwing to before. The difference is your catching hand only hands across back to the throwing hand. This is a pattern that you often see drawn in cartoons because it keeps the balls out of the cartoon character's face. The handing hand should always be a little bit higher than the throwing hand. Here's what happens when you start clawing. Once you have the shower under control, you can work on tricks like the high-low shower. This is where one ball is thrown high out of the pattern while the remaining 2 shower underneath it. The handing hand can also hand under the leg or around the back. first intermediate trick is actually pretty easy. What you'll do is 2-in-1-hand columns, substituting the middle ball back and forth on every other beat. This is called the W. The next trick I call puts. Just put the ball under your chin or cheek.